Hi guys, welcome to episode 5 of Two and a Half Men. As you can see, we are a man down, so I've decided this week I am a full man.
Still 1.5. Still one and a half.
No.
Easy.
It's 2 men. It's just 2 men. Can't do 2 men.
I don't know. Sounds better with 1.5.
I'm on stilts here. I can't be.
Stilts is fine.
Yeah.
Stilts is good.
Because-
Okay, yeah, fine. Two then.
Could be 2.5 men. I'm really tall. Judge me. Yeah, so welcome guys. As we always say each week, thank you for the continued support. We have noticed that the shorts have been a bit slow from our own, but we will be getting a bigger flow and then coming through. More interesting and hopefully more laughs because I've got some wacky ideas. I'm telling you. So yeah, we'll see how they come along. As myself, Lewis Walters, I'm here, and we have Mr. Harry Jones. How are you, sir?
All good. Thank you very much. All good. Good weekend of football.
Good weekend as well.
Yeah, it depends on who you support, I guess. But yeah.
And maybe not results, but definitely entertainment-wise, it was crazy. And this week, I'm going to try not to swear. We'll see how it goes. So what we're going to talk about first is we're going to talk about Premier League. So we've got 3 games that we're going to showcase this week. So we're going to focus on Arsenal Spurs, we're going to focus on Sheffield and Newcastle, and we're also going to look at Brentford and Everton. So I am going to kick off first with the most exciting game of the weekend, which was the Arsenal and Spurs game. And I kind of want to get your thoughts before I kind of pitch in and give my thoughts alongside it. So what did you think of the game?
It was a quality, for a neutral, it was pretty much what I want to see from a derby. It was kind of, I love the back and forth of, well, the way that the goals happened, actually. That's what I liked about it. There was missed chances. There was a lot of missed chances. There was domination and then goals against the winner play. All that stuff. It had everything. It didn't seem that feisty, which was quite good, but it was competitive.
There's quite a few yellow cards. There's quite a few yellow cards in the game, but I don't know if that was just the ref just trying to get control of the game. But
maybe I don't remember there being much of the huddles and stuff and all the kicking and all that jazz. But yeah, man. But I miss all that stuff, man, because it was tasty. But no, I genuinely really really enjoyed that game. I wasn't too surprised on the result. I think most derbies, I literally sit on the fence and think it'll be a draw because the occasion sometimes is too much. But I was surprised on how the goals came about. And for Tottenham's goals, there were basically definitely one mistake. But Saka should have done a lot better. You don't mark someone on that side of him. I didn't understand why he was twice. It was weird because Maddison went to go that way thinking he can't be standing there for me to run that way. And then he checked back and he did it again thinking he is standing there on the wrong side of me. So it was just weird.
And he was the left back as well. So what are you doing?
I didn't really understand that. But again, I have to say, I suppose it's one of those weird ones. I've been listening to Tottenham fans and online, and they're obviously really happy with the point. And that's, I suppose, a good sign, not a good sign, but that's a credit to you as well, because to be happy with a point in the derby, they should really be happy. Well, not happy, just happy that they didn't get a win. But the fact that they're happy with the point, it does show how much they've grown, because they wouldn't have even got near a point or felt like they didn't deserve a point last season. So, but no, it was good. A couple of things I remember you saying about Son as well, thinking, okay, that came to bite you back, because he looked proper sharp, like old sharp.
Really
but again, you played well, man. You control the game for most parts. Just those few mistakes we say happened to pounce on.
Yeah, I agree. I think first of all, I'm not going to be a crappy Arsenal fan and say that we should have won this or Spurs that. It's nice to see a Spurs team that can play football, which is kind of like a backhanded compliment. But they haven't played nice football for a few years, so it is nice to see them playing more exciting football. They were playing it from the back a lot of the time. They were getting out and they were doing very well, which I thought was quite interesting because our pressing game is really quite good.
Yeah.
Maddison is breath of fresh air, and I think he's kind of brought that fresh air to Son as well, because his link-up play with him is just next level, and you could see that that's where the dangers were, and it was pretty telling late on in the game. I was quite surprised that Postecoglou took both of them off.
It changed the game.
Maddison had an issue on that, I know, but because he took Son off as well, there was no threat then from Spurs after that point. Yeah. So it looked like the emphasis was on us. But from an Arsenal perspective, it seemed like a game that was in our hands, and there seems to be a running thing for Arsenal. There's complete domination for a big chunk of the first half. Then we'll allow the other team, and it doesn't matter what team it is. Usually, they'll have a 10-minute spell where they will have a lot of the ball, and then the second half will go off, and it will kind of be a bit more back and forth, and then we'll end strong, and it just seems to be a telling sign. But I couldn't really sit there and say that we had a bad game. I think the Rice having to go off was a big deal for me. It was caused us a lot of problems, because then Jorginho come on, who likes to play slow, and then in the end he ended up playing too slow and he made a mistake.
Yeah, made a mistake.
Yeah, but the Saka defending was just woeful for me, because he's a defender. He should be saving that and saving that, and he should be getting that. And then 3 defenders around him, and someone to get a foot to the goal. You can poke holes in that as well, and then just Jorginho. So actually, do you know what? At the time as well, I actually thought that Raya should probably have just guessed the side, because Son's body language. So that he looked like he'd stayed in the position for ages, that he was clearly going to go left of the keeper, and he just didn't. Well, he just never read that. But then I'm being super harsh. But the main problem was with Jorginho. So we probably should have won the game, but on the whole of it, I would probably take a point, because Spurs had chances. We had chances. Jesus should have put us 2-0 up as well, because he just snapped. Like we said off air, like he just snapped straight at you. Like the occasion just got a bit too much for him, and they said it during the commentary during the game that we're in desperate need of a striker. We're in desperate need of someone who could put 20 goals in the back of the net every season for us. Like, if you put an Osman or an Ivan Toney in that game, and I'm not saying that they're even comparable, but they're goal scorers, and I think it's a different story. Because like I said as well, that Jesus off the left is very interesting, and I think it's going to. I think it showed Arteta that that's a player that you could use there. So yeah, it was a good game. Very, very entertaining. Not great for me, because I was constantly up and down off my seat. Honestly, just watching it in my living room, the steps that I got in, unreal.
You seem to be. I was looking at the stats afterwards, because I thought it was high, but you were getting quite a lot of crosses in. And I never really quite understand that unless you got like a proper target man. So but I understand there's different, obviously, ways to cross the ball. But again, I think they crossed you in that area quite well. But I know it was a game plan, but I can't see, unless you're gonna get someone that's really strong in the air, which I don't think you've got that really, unless it's for set pieces. Then I don't know. It was a weird thing to see, really. I didn't really expect that.
As a ball-playing team, you don't really want to focus on. But as we said, if you're not putting balls in, because it's not even just off corners, it's just crosses in general, isn't it? We seem reluctant to put the ball in the box, but Nketiah just it seems weird, because when you say natural goal scorer, that player usually pops up in the right place at the right time. But sometimes it could just mean that when they get the ball, they can put it in the back of the net. But with Nketiah, it just doesn't sometimes seems to be in the right place at the right time. And then you kind of look at the rest of his game and you just go, well, where were you? So it's a little bit frustrating. I don't have an issue with the way that Arteta set up the team, but yeah, it's just I was surprised about the Havertz coming on for Vieira after you were already going to take off Rice. But then I don't know if there was an issue with Vieira as well. So overall, I think a point was probably a fair result.
I just realised that obviously they were and they still are above you in the table.
What are you going to say for?
No, I just didn't. I was meant to say it in the last podcast because I suppose it adds to it, doesn't it? It just
It does,
it adds to it. I know it's only on goal difference. I have no idea. I know who you're playing next. I think you got Bournemouth.
Yeah.
But I don't know who Tottenham have got next. But it is again. I feel like it's starting. The pressure on being up there in the table starting. It starts in early. Like it's starting now. It's
All right.
yeah. It's
It's 2
mad.
points straight. It's 2 points straight for us when Man City is still winning games, and
Mhm.
and then you've got Liverpool who are still winning games as well. So it definitely adds to it. But I think you've just got to wait for the 15th, between the 15 and 20 games, and then it kind of gives you a bit more of a telling sign of where everyone's going to finish in the league. Because it's like I look at Arsenal's squad, and we've got quite a big squad actually. So I'm quite happy with backup players that are there. Where I look at potentially like Spurs, who I don't feel they've got a very good 11, strong 11, but not necessarily a big squad to last through them times, even though they're obviously not in the competitions as well. I've got to say as well, I was actually shocked because the left back, is it Undogu? I think his name is, the Italian left back. He got a yellow card within the first 8 minutes, and Saka just never ran it in again for the whole game. And I was just like, there's a walking red card there. The guy lost his head as well. He made a pass back to Nketiah, who could have pulled it back for Vieira at one point as well. And he lost his head, and he gave him the chance to get his composure back, and he actually finished the game quite strongly. So I was quite surprised at that.
Yeah, but the next game is Tottenham. Just look, Tottenham Liverpool. That'll be a very interesting game. 5:30 next week. So that'll be
take a draw for that, so Arsenal can start pushing up the league. I'll take that.
Yeah, that could be an interesting game.
Yeah, so we don't want to sit here and sort of use the whole podcast and talk about my team, do we? So let's move on to Sheffield Newcastle. And I think for this one, it was quite surprising because I think a lot of people were annoyed about this weekend because there was a lot of 2 p.m. kickoffs. I think it was 4 or 5 2 p.m. kickoffs. A lot of people were frustrated about for obviously certain reasons, and then people were a little bit like deflated that the half-full kickoff was the Sheffield United Newcastle game,
and they got a treat.
And they got a treat indeed. Well, not if you're a Sheffield United fan.
Yeah, man.
And I think I want to start with Sheffield United because there are some performances that I've seen where they've been very resilient. Is probably the word I would use, like against Man City and against some other teams as well. Where I actually thought there's still an opportunity that potentially they could get a few points in certain areas and maybe even give themselves a chance at survival. This game for me, it's just damned them to just going down. Defending it's awful.
Yeah, it's going to take a lot mentally to come back from this. But you are exactly right. I only saw someone mention it earlier actually about the games that they had before this were only lost. If they lost it was by 1 goal. So they were competing. There wasn't a gap, and they were facing some good teams as well, but Newcastle just seemed to. They were just relentless, man. They usually teams after 3 or 4-0 just slow down a bit and just take the foot off the brakes. But they were just on it. And I could feel that like when the 5th goal went, I thought this is going to be more and not going to stop. And then Sheffield United just let them. It was bad. I see what you mean. Sometimes I think if you take this as a whole, this is a fluke result for Sheffield United. So it shouldn't, if it's managed well, which I don't know if the manager and the staff can actually have the ability to do that, but they should just think actually just if you take this one result, then we need to go back to what we were doing. But at the end of the day, they were still losing games.
So exactly, that's the biggest thing about it, isn't it? And I just look at the defending and some of it. Honestly, I felt like I was playing EAFC. It looked like that. There was one where who ran? It was Almiron ran through. I think it was Almiron, and he was just running straight for the middle, and the 2 centre backs just parted like that, and he just ran in and just put it bottom corner, and I was just like, what? Where was your mindset there? And then set pieces are absolutely awful.
Yeah.
I think the 2 of the first 3 goals came off set pieces, and Yeah, it's just I am concerned about them, and like I said, I kind of give them a bit of a fighting chance, but now I can't defend them anymore. Just like they can't defend their goal.
No, they
So
can't, man.
yeah,
I don't understand what they're gonna do.
Mm.
Uh, it's got to be someone down there, but it seemed
Could be
to
like
click.
Southampton. Southampton got battered and they recovered well when it happened to them. And then
Yeah,
was it Liverpool? Was it Liverpool the last two? Remember they got that big
yeah,
beating?
nine.
Was
Was
it
it
Leicester?
eight or nine? I think it was
Was it
Liverpool. Yeah.
was it Leicester? It was one of them. It might be Leicester actually. I think it was Leicester. I think it was Leicester versus Southampton. I think it was battered in that match.
No, I think no. Southampton a couple of seasons back to back have lost like 9-0.
No, yeah.
And I think one of them was Liverpool, or was that? But no, Bournemouth. Liverpool beat Bournemouth, didn't they?
Yeah,
9-0.
I think
Yeah,
the one
yeah,
was Leicester. I'm pretty sure Man City gave them a doing over as well. But
yeah.
I know they recovered. They recovered well from that. But
They
I
just
think
got
there was
to.
a break. I think there was a break just after it, wasn't there? So yeah,
Well, maybe
it was.
this cup game has come at the right time. Maybe, but there's another key area of the season that teams will need to think about, and that's the turn of the year and the transfer window. Usually doesn't happen with clubs down there, I guess, to make the most of that and actually to push on. Especially, I think Sheffield United maybe and Luton will be probably too far gone for it to matter.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree.
But I kind of like the romance of it. Just buy a player and they can change the fortune because there's still like a fair chunk of games left. So, but yeah, I think I agree with you. I think this result will damn them.
Yeah, I agree. So looking at Newcastle, it's pleasantly surprised actually. I thought they would beat Sheffield. I think we all had them to beat Sheffield, but I definitely wasn't expecting 8-0. I wasn't expecting 3-4 now, to be honest with you, because they haven't looked fantastic this season. Obviously the Champions League game they've really struggled, and then games before that they've really struggled as well, lost quite a few. So this is actually the opposite effect of Sheffield, where you can see that this can hopefully propel them up the league, and a lot of players just look very, very sharp. Like Gordon,
Gordon looks ridiculous.
Yeah, it does look ridiculous. I thought one of his finish, I just thought the keeper was at fault. You know, when he's outside the box, he kills it bottom corner.
Yeah.
I just really looked like it went under the keeper, and that's nothing to take away from Gordon, but he just looked like he was everywhere from most of the game. And we'll discuss the first goal because obviously we've got to see that. But they look good.
There's something about Gordon I don't like. I don't know what it is. There's something. I think there's the whole hangover from how he left Everton, and he's seemingly got a face to match it. I don't know why. He just has a.
He does. No, he does. He does.
Yeah,
it just looks like that. You just go. You just got to rate him. But I think he's a player. I think he thrives off that.
Yeah,
I think he wants people to hate him. I think he's just like, "Don't hate me, and I'll show you what I can do."
No, but he's quite. No, I like him. He's like I like busy players, man. Players that just at least look busy. Now I know that people got on his back at the end of last season, and even for Everton because there was no product. And probably to be fair to Everton, they didn't want someone who was busy. They wanted the person to put a goal in, and he wasn't that guy. But if you get him singing and he's been busy and he's doing what he's doing there, it's going to be. He fits into Newcastle so well, man. He just seems to be a Newcastle player. So fair play to him. There's a few people in that squad that played well actually, and everyone scored. Like it's rare that no one got 2 goals. Trippier was ridiculous. His kind of
dead ball
distribution was unbelievable.
And that's his game, isn't it? That's what you got to lean on when you are Newcastle. And I think that's what they've got to start doing more against bigger teams because they've got quite. From what I can see, it looks like they've got quite a tall team as well. You've got Isaac, Joe Linton. You got the centre backs. They've got quite tall. So, I think they've got a formation, because I feel like it seems as if maybe like a flat 4-4-2 might actually sort them a little, maybe like a 4-2-4 because. Is getting Wilson and Isaac on the pitch can benefit them, but in this day and age, I don't know if you put that against like a Man City or an Arsenal, I think they're going to turn you over because there's just too many gaps in everything. So, but no, definitely promising times for them. So we'll move on to the other 2 teams, well, the other match that we want to focus on, which is kind of worrying both teams, but obviously a fantastic result for Everton. And I've been saying for a long time, I genuinely believe that Everton play the worst football in the Premier League. I think even where Luton and Sheffield United at least try, they just long balls. It's very like a early 2090s approach to the football matches. But 3-1, Calvert-Lewin scoring. Obviously,
Good
other
finish as
players
well.
getting a score as well. Decore just look. Oh my days!
He looks, yeah.
Sometimes he looks like that sentiment. You think he could play for a big team. He could get up there, like he could maybe like play for Villas, or he could even maybe push up and play for bigger teams. But then he's a lot of the time he just vanishes. But he scored a goal and he hit the crossbar. His crossbar was unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. But it's nice. It's nice to see Calvert-Lewin back. He's a very good striker.
He is. I feel a bit, obviously, with all the injuries he's had, definitely feel sorry for him. He needs that run. I mean, he was pushing for no one's going to overtake Kane in the England squad, but he was the next guy. And I was happy with that because he's got that attributes. And again, like when he wants to be, for the guy of his size, busy, runs around, he makes himself, he's a menace. He likes the physical side, which is probably the reason why he gets battered most of the time and his face gets broken. But he'll be. It's not like I don't want to see it. It's not like I like it when bigger clubs start to waver, and Everton are on that level. I don't think this game will diminish that fact. I think Brentford helped them. They weren't playing their best, and that's rare. I don't know what it is because they're usually solid. They usually have a real solid base. They usually don't lose goals by two clear goals. Like it's usually a one or draw. They usually manage to get a draw, but yeah, they just seem to. They couldn't cope with them. Yeah, they are.
Yeah, bad patch at the minute, and I am worried for them. And I think it seems like the goals are drying up a little bit. Maybe the Tony effect's a bit there, but I also kind of get to it's slightly political. I haven't liked how Tony's been about. Like he's been. I feel like he's been putting himself out there looking for a move. Like he's going on these podcasts. He's talking about his situation. He's talking about his scandal. And he's talking about the future. And I think that it's just kind of when Brentford are on a bad run, you don't want that. You don't want to see stuff like that.
No. It sounds like he's going to go to you, though, doesn't he? He sounds like he likes to. Yeah. He sounds like he's going to move to you.
It does look like that fact, and like I say, I would take it. I would take him. I don't think he has covered himself in glory in the last few weeks. Like he hasn't. I don't really think there's a player there that's kind of owned up to what he's done. He's kind of just gone, well, other players have done it and not got as bad as me. So what's the problem? And I think that's not the best way to go about it. But when he's in an Arsenal shirt, I don't care. You don't care.
You don't care.
Yeah, I don't care. So yeah, but yeah, it's a shame to see because, like I said, I always said, I think we beat Brentford at the start of the season, and I said if you get to Brentford and get points, you've done very well.
You've done very well. Yeah.
It seems like you can get points there. It's a shame. So. Yeah, so we're going to move on from the Premier League, and we are going to move on to a bit more of a controversial area, and we're going to talk about some of the handballs that have happened in 3 games this weekend, and kind of get each of us thoughts in it and kind of what we think. I was going to start with the Wolves one, but I'm actually going to start with the Newcastle one because I actually think that was the worst one of 3. We're going to discuss the Wolves also on the Newcastle one. I don't understand. He had no bearing in the game. They were going to win 8-0 regardless. But how does that goal stand? How does Gordon push the ball back to himself blatantly, and then feed it to a player like on a plate, and he finishes it, and then you go, what was it? What sounds in it? Because the person who scored the goal didn't handball it. It was fine.
Yeah, something like so. The goal scorer didn't handball it, so because the goal was given or time was passed or something, they couldn't go back and penalise it or something or other. I just think it was a massive excuse or trying to reach for a reason because I think that's just incompetence. You can't. The man, it was close to the line anyway, so they were looking at those pictures. And when he touched it, the touch was heavy to bring it back in, and he stopped it with his hand. Like no matter what way you look at it, it was going past his hand, and his hand stopped it, and it. So it was there for him to pass the ball, it was stupid.
It was just my guy's playing basketball. My guy's playing basketball on the pitch, and it's the touch before the pass. So it's not even like you can go. It was a touch in the lead up to. Oh, but I've seen them. I've seen handballs in the lead up to a goal get called off.
I know.
Yeah, it just beyond me. Luckily, obviously, it's a game that wasn't up for debate, but it concerns me for the rest of the season that there's going to be incidents like this again. Because you could say then, I'll do it on purpose. I will do it on purpose, and I'm going to get away with it because I'm going to feed it to someone else. As long as the ref doesn't catch me, I can then just feed it to someone else, and it's going to be absolutely fine.
Yeah,
I thought it was absolutely terrible.
I couldn't. I couldn't believe it. I wouldn't have minded it as much as they didn't look at it. The annoying thing is they looked at it, and I was like, "Oh, for the love of God!" It's hard for referees. I know that it's hard for the staff who are doing all this checking and the VAR because they don't want to have, which it always happens. Like, well, you did it for this. They can't have that consistency. They can't get that consistency because they're making poor decisions constantly. And then, as I said to you before, there's no kind of. They need to look at things retrospectively as well, like after the game. Like, I still think things can be given after the game. Now, I'm not going as much as saying just let players play for the 90 minutes and then after the game be, well, that's not a goal, so your score is 2-0. But there needs to be something done about that because that was unbelievable.
The punishments definitely need to be more severe because I think the one with the Wolves game where Onana just flattens two players and he didn't get a penalty for it. I think they just went, oh yeah, that they're not officiating the next week, and I'm like, you give them a weekend off.
Yeah.
You didn't punish them in any sort of way. But then you look in the Champions League and things like that, and I rarely think I'm ever going to talk about a referee. But then each weekend of the Premier League, you think there's going to be something. There's going to be something where someone gets punished, and it just feels like you can pick points away from teams where a referee decision has caused that problem, and you just don't want to see that. You don't want to see that at all. And I know in this Newcastle game, like we said, it's irrelevant, but one of the games is going to become relevant. And definitely for Wolves, it has been relevant over the past, like the first 5 or 6 games for them.
It's sad, isn't it? Because I was thinking at the time, okay, that's going to be a thing the manager will bring up at the end of the game, be like, well, they should have scored that first goal. But because they scored 8, he can't say like he can't. There's no excuse because you did.
That started the night.
Yeah, but it did. Like, you know what I mean? Like that was the first goal. Like who knows? Because Sheffield United were on top at the beginning of that game. Like that game wasn't against the one of the so I say on top. They were more on top than they were for the rest of the game. But it was even, and they could have. They had more chances and they seemingly more in the game, and that happened, and it kind of. But not many Sheffield United players really protested. It's just a thing that's because we saw it and stuff, and I was thinking the ball went out.
I was saying it was outplay, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But this isn't the outplay.
It was mad.
I don't think you can do it to a straw that broke the camel's back when only one piece of straw hit its back.
Exactly. I just thought, they scored 8 goals to take away your only excuse in that game, which was
and I think the ref kind of got away with it for that. So I'm glad we've kind of highlighted it. So we'll move on to the Wolves one next, and this one it didn't seem controversial at the time, but it seems to be controversial after the game because there's been conversations kind of from VAR and stuff like that saying that potentially this wasn't a penalty, and it was the one where. His arm was up in the air when the cross. He's dived for the ball. His arms went up in the air, and he's caught it. And my first thought that it was a penalty. But then, do you look at the closeness of the player? Do you look at how the player's gone at the ball? What kind of factors are we looking at where we think is this definitely a pen?
Is this the one that did it come off his foot as well, and then bounce up?
Yeah. So it's kind of like. You can't consequence it because the ball's not initially coming off feet, but then you go, why's your arm up there?
Well, that's always my thing. I just think if your arm's up there and it hits it, then you can only be like, oh, okay, my arm shouldn't have been up there. Or you do run the risk. I understand about the position that some players get in, like they try and get momentum and push themselves forward so their arms are flailing, but you run the risk, like you've been told season after season, if your arm's up and it hits, I'm sorry, it's probably gonna be a penalty. And it's even more unfortunate that that bounced off him first. And don't get me wrong, it was close. So yeah, I suppose they say you can't control it, but his arm was up there first. So yes, he can control it because he shouldn't have put his arm up. And you see a lot of you see a lot of defenders that put their hands behind their back, and he didn't. So yeah,
it's one of them where I think because they go, was it his natural position, and he wasn't trying to do the YMCA, so
he wasn't.
Natural position. He
the tune was on.
He wasn't.
Okay, I'm surprised.
It's crazy. I was playing the tune. He wasn't trying to do this. So yeah, it wasn't his natural position. But yeah, I think it's upsetting a lot more Wolves fans because they just feel like a lot of refs are getting up on their team at the minute and they're losing points as a consequence of that. So, all right, we'll move on to the last one, which is the Arsenal one, and I didn't think it was penalty because I felt it was too close. The player's hand was like here, and the only reason why I thought that I thought it was going to be a pen, just because of the nature of it. But because his hand was here and the player was like so close when he didn't stop a goal scoring opportunity because it would have hit his chest if it had gone through his hand. The ball didn't bounce then. The ball actually bounced favourably to Gabriel because he was too busy protesting because that's the kind of nature that he is instead of going, I'll try and hit it in the back of the net. But it was the fact that when he hit it, he pushed it down by accident because his natural reaction was to try and get his hand out of the way.
Yeah,
he's just accidentally knocked it down. So that kind of adds to it because it looks like he's just dribbling the ball with his hand. And so I actually genuinely think it wasn't a penalty. Should it was, but I don't think it was a penalty.
Yeah, I kind of disagree. Well, no, I can see your point, but I could just because he took so much momentum from the ball. And again, I think most of the times that handballs are not given, it's when the momentum of the ball is still enough. You know what I mean? Like it didn't.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Like because
it altered completely.
Yeah, because no one wants to do that on purpose unless you're Maradona. But
hot take that is.
But like he
criticized.
Yeah. But he didn't kind of. He pretty much had a bad game, didn't he? Like it's just kind of summed his luck. But it's because he took so much of the pace from the ball that you almost like everyone saw it as well. You know what I mean? Like kind of like because he was so slowed down in the fact that he did pretty much your right, like to play. So yeah. So but
that's okay. Huh? That's okay. Just make the decision.
Yeah, they always do.
A long time. Yeah,
they always do. It's like it's like the red card for Chelsea. Yeah, they took ages to make that decision. They want to be sure, but then by doing it for so long, you think actually just go with your gut. We still got a game to play with, and then you're going to add 5 minutes on at the end. So it's causing
doubt in it. And that's the biggest thing for me. If you take longer than a minute, it was like the one for the Women's World Cup. The final that one. I think if you take more than a minute to make the decision, that probably less than that. If you take more than 30 seconds to make a decision, you shouldn't even really be looking at it. You should just carry on. You just got to finish go to your stuff. But yeah, I'm hoping that they're either really clear on the rules or they change it. The Newcastle one definitely needs to be changed. You can't handball during the build.
No.
Stupid. Absolutely stupid. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move on to a little bit of fun. And we are going to do a Premier League 11.
I'm so excited for this.
Do you want to go first? Should I go? Rossi, you want to go? Oh shit, sorry.
I'm gonna. Shall we just predict what Rossi's would be? I'm gonna put Titus Bramble in defense. Luke Chadwick.
Tyler Miggs. It would just be a Liverpool 11. That's all it would be. So they're doing Martin Skirtle.
Skirtle. Oh, he literally was a skeleton. Like, he looked like Skeletor straight up. Anyway, I've gone for
John
a mistaken goal. So, are we doing my whole team first?
You do your whole team because
Okay.
yeah, helps you on the screen, doesn't it, when you put the team on?
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna go with Czech in goal. I think the guy made me feel differently about goalkeepers when he came in there. Not many, and that's a position that doesn't really happen. Was he like 6 or 7 clean sheets in a row when he started or something? He started flying when he came to Chelsea, and my man survived broken skull.
Yeah.
So
that headgear is iconic. It really is. Like you could put that on anyone else. You got to catch up.
Yeah. Plus, he was still playing pretty decent afterwards as well. But you can tell that it affected him for good reason. But he's just class. I think yeah. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
His reach is ridiculous. He's got the height. He's got the reflexes. He's actually not that bad with his feet, but this is pre-era that they were trying to find him out, so he wasn't the best, but he was still not a De Gea for example. Okay, so he's in goal. Then I've got Ashley Cole left back because
kind of
I'm gonna have to have him there.
I would say I think there is a show for Robinson. I think if you look in the modern day and go and look at the statistics for it, I bet you he blows Cole out the water in regards to assists, goals, that sort of thing. But yeah, Ashley Cole is just.
I think it's hard for me. Yeah, it's hard for me to pick players that are still playing unless they've excelled in that position. And because again, Cole was at the point where Chelsea were flying. Everyone was saying he's the best left back of the world. I think he started up front, so he knew bits about it. He was a bit of a dribbler. I'll say he was untidy, but he still his pace and stuff kind of helped. So I've got Cole left back. I've actually gone for something I shouted out earlier in one of the podcasts. I've gone for Ledley King as one of the defenders. Titus Bramble. He made mistakes. It was one of the match of the day years when I used to watch every week, and he used to be the problem. But Ledley King, I've gone for him because I don't think he gets mentioned enough because he didn't play enough. But when he did play,
my guy had knees.
Yeah, he had those, and pretty much that's it. It was just kneecaps. No, I've never seen someone. He had everything. He can read the game well. His tackling was ridiculous. He had pace. He led the back line really, really well. And I just feel I'll put him in because I genuinely feel sorry for him that he didn't have the career that he should have had because of the injuries and stuff.
It's a hot take, but I can see what you're putting in.
And then I've gone for Yap. I've gone for Yap Stam. I liked the unrelenting kind of that old school vibe of like he didn't pass from the back. He hoofed, and there was a player at the end of it, and he just went through people. He knew how to defend like set pieces and stuff. He was combative, man. So I liked him. And then I've gone for Walker.
Quirky 11 so far, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a bit quirky, but then I've gone for Walker at right back.
There's not many choices there, is there?
No, there isn't actually. I was looking, and I can't have the Nevilles as we discussed because it's not like I don't. I'm sure they're good people. I just didn't like the way they played.
No, I agree. I agree.
As effective as they were used in teams, I just didn't really like the way they played. So I've gone for Carl Walker, and then I've gone for Hargreaves as a CDM.
Is this an injury 11?
Yes, it is. He was, but again, it's my soft. I feel sorry for him. But when I was telling you earlier about busy players and stuff. He was a busy player. He knew he was a different type of CDM. He wasn't really that composed. He didn't like read the game well, but because he was so busy, he put the pressure on moving forward, and he's also amazing in defence as well. And
good stamina, very good stamina for him.
Yeah, very good stamina.
That era as well.
When he was at Bayern Munich, I'm pretty sure he took a couple of free kicks. He's quite good at those as well. If I am not mistaken, he's
Yeah.
good. I liked him, and I think he goes well with Gerrard. I've got Gerrard there. Now, Gerrard was for me ultimate game changer. Yeah, he's the ultimate game changer. He can do everything. And I've gone for surprise person in midfield, and maybe just behind the front three. So I've gone for just an old school favourite of mine in terms of Premier League. Pretty sure it was in the Premier League. Of course, it was in the Premier League. JJ Kocher. I've never seen he disrespected players that were meant to be.
Yeah, the guy's skill was a joke.
It was I suppose you have to question his consistency, but if you're picking the ultimate 11, I'm assuming that everyone's on their peak.
This is the weirdest 11 I've ever seen.
I picked it because again, I'm sick and tired of hearing the same teams, and these are players I actually like and I like to watch as well. So JJ, and then actually my front three are pretty standard-ish. Ronaldo, Cristiano Ronaldo. Premier League, he mastered it. Henry.
Yep. Picks himself.
Just picks off silky beast. I don't understand, but he did to have a go the one game where he made him lose a limb. It was too funny, and I know he did that to many others, but it's just he was a menace. And then I've gone for Rude, Van Nistelrooy. Yeah. And again, I've gone for Rude because he.
We're friends, aren't
we? His finishing, he was combative up front. I think if I was playing him in those three, I think they all bring different things that no one likes in forwards. You wouldn't know what to do. Like you can't build a back line to defend those three. What do you do? They are very frustrating players. So I have Rude banished away, and he was good at pens until he missed the one against you, and everyone bullied him off the park. That was raw. Yeah. That's my 11.
It's definitely the most bizarre 11 I've ever seen. But I think, you know what though, I like it because like I said, it shouldn't always be the conventional 11 that everyone thinks. But because I don't think there is a best 11 that everybody agrees on. So to have hot takes, I think is quite good. So
put your 11 in the comments. I want to see what some people's 11s are in the comments.
I would like to that too, and then we will comment on them and we'll disprove all of them.
Yeah, just say
unless it's half Villa or half Arsenal. Any Liverpool places in now. My goalkeeper, my best 11. My goalkeeper is the same as yours. I am Fletcher.
Okay.
Because I just feel he was just safe. He was just always there. He always made fantastic saves. He was just a mainstay. He was just a player that you always, every season, you could just depend on him. And sometimes, some seasons, he wasn't the best goalkeeper in the season at that time, but he was always the most dependable, and he's just fantastic. And then when he come over to Arsenal, it sounds a bit daft, but I was quite grateful that he came to us, because he could have just gone anywhere, he could have just gone off, but now he came to Arsenal because he wanted to stay in London. I understood that, but I was quite grateful that he came, and he did his best. Yeah. Made some mistakes, was a bit out of the hill, but it was good.
I wonder what goalkeeper in the Premier League made the least mistakes, because I genuinely think Czech would be up there, because I don't remember that many compared to others.
Definitely not. I'll agree with that. That'd be quite interesting to see. It's worse. I'll go with mine. So I've gone for left back. I have gone for the traitors, Ashley Cole. Very good and us. But he was just the best. I always remember his clearance for England. Can't remember who played, but he cleared the ball off the line, and I just remember it being just incredible. And he was he just winds players up. He was a nightmare to try and get past. He just had everything. I think if you put his ability in a player in the modern era, he would be doing the same as Robinson. He would be doing the same as other players. So yeah, definitely a fantastic player. I have gone for a bit more of the kind of obvious centre back pairing. I've gone for Vidic.
Okay.
I thought Vidic or Vidic. I just thought he just kind of had that Eastern European build of just a rock hard player. You thought you could never stop him. And yeah, he was just fantastic. So, and I'm not saying he made Real look better, but he definitely complemented him to and he could compliment the team, and he was just
Yeah.
frustrating because he's a Man United player. But the next one is John Terry. I've gone for John Terry. He's a very controversial figure in regards to the things that he's done. We obviously discussed this off screen with his personal life, and then obviously the races and things and things like that. But if we were just talking solely about the guy's ability on the pitch, this guy had 12 pace. You know what I mean? Look at him. Bus going down the street, you'd never get to that bus stop to catch you. But he just always, his football brain was just, he was just so intelligent that he just knew how to be in the right places at the right time.
And I think
yeah. And then you look at players like you Maguire's who have the similar attributes in regards to where they lack, and you can see where the differences are, and just how intelligent Terry was. And I think we really need to kind of look at where someone was so deficient you wouldn't really notice. Everyone just went, he's probably sick. It doesn't make sense. Right back, I've gone for Walker. I think with Walker, he's been very dependable. The pace of this guy, he seems to get quicker with age. It's just unbelievable. And it's not, he doesn't really offer loads going forward. He kind of just causes more of a distraction sometimes, more than any sort of threat.
That's enough, isn't it?
He's covering, he covers not just the right back and the left and the centre back next to him, the right centre back. He covers the left back when the ball goes over. The guy just sprints across over the pitch and just always seems to get there. And there's players out there that just don't really want to take him on. And Mbappe, I remember Gareth Bale tried to take him on, couldn't do it.
I saw that clip the other day.
I saw that clip today. I was like, that's mad.
He didn't even get close.
He didn't even get close, and Bale thought they would just do. And because the way the clip come up was like, watch Bale take on these players, and he was like, no, watch Bale not take on these players. So yeah, it was. He's just class, and I like him as well. He actually seems like quite a fun guy. So yeah. My CDM, because I've gone for a 4-3-3. I've gone for N'Golo Kante. N'Golo Kante for me he's just unbelievable.
He's magic,
this
man.
This guy made Pogba look fantastic for France. Like, Pogba's not looked great anywhere, apart from Juventus, but then it could be good in the Italian league. But he covers like two people's positions, and he covered all gaps. At Chelsea, he was playing as a cam at one point, and the energy, the way he wins the ball back, the way he just kind of pushes the team on and stops goals, and he just does everything. And he done it in a team. Even though they won the league, he done it in a team that shouldn't have won the league, and he was one of the reasons why they won it.
Yeah. He's
in Chelsea. I mean, Leicester.
Or both. Like, he's just mad. I don't understand. He just seems to be at the base of it. He just seems to do what he's told. Well, like he just
perfect soldier.
Yeah,
and that picture of him on the bike kills me. It just absolutely kills me every time. But I think it's a shame that someone as talented as him, obviously, kind of got stumped by injuries later on in his career and that sort of thing. So, but now I just think he was better than. I think he was better than Makelele. Obviously, Makelele kind of got that position named after him. I look at Roy Keane and I look at Vieira, and I just think this guy just had a bigger impact in a lesser team, and I think that's the way I've kind of looked at it. My next one is Gerrard. I think Gerrard just kind of puts himself in there. You could sit there in ages and talk about this guy because he just had everything. He was like Roy Keane, Scholes, Lampard, all in. Well, there's bits of him in all of it because he could get rough when he wanted to get rough. He had finesse about him, and his passing was unbelievable. His shooting was a joke. Yeah, and he just carried. I wouldn't say he carried that team, but he dragged them along, and he just got them to the places they needed to be, where that team wasn't that strong. And the guy's loyalty, I think, is something to be applauded as well, because there's one point where he could have gone to Chelsea, there's points where he probably could have gone to other teams, and he just went on Liverpool through and through. Where we were talking about Anthony Gordon earlier, wait to ditch Everton. He was just like, I gotta stay in this Liverpool team because they might do something one day, And I've never really felt gutted for a Liverpool player, but when he slipped over, I generally felt like you could see his heartbreak, and that was and you could tell it still plays on his mind to this day. So
Yeah.
fantastic player. My next player is Kevin De Bruyne. I have never seen a person pass a ball like this guy. This guy kind of just I'd love to spend 5 minutes in his brain and just go, how can you predict where that player's going to be?
I don't
Like,
know,
it's not
man.
even like these players make any even sort of runs. He doesn't even force the player to make a run either. He just puts the ball at that person's feet and they're just available. And
It's
it's
just
just
his technique is it's uncomplicated. It doesn't do any like it doesn't look like doesn't I don't know. He's a good one to have in your team for sure.
yeah, and he's quicker than you think as well.
Yeah.
He's just had that burst over 5 yards. He's just unbelievable. He was left-footed, right-footed, and yeah, he where that Man City team is strong. He's the best of them all, and I'd probably say he's one of the best in the world, maybe one of the best of all time, because he's just fantastic. And I love the fact that he was at Chelsea and Mourinho said he was good enough. I love that. And then he just comes back and he's never gone, I'll show them. He's just gone, I'll do my talking on the pitch. And that's what he's always done. He's always got a red face as well. Always. My front three is one player you would guess, the other two you wouldn't.
Okay, so
So
Ronaldo.
No.
Oh, okay.
I haven't put Ronaldo in because I don't think Ronaldo was in the Premier League long enough to kind of deserve to be in there. And I actually think he went on to be better elsewhere. So I think he was fantastic at Man United for probably 1 or 2 seasons. He was even better at Real
Yeah,
Madrid.
Real Madrid. Yeah, of course it was. That's
Yeah.
But okay, so yours is Henri then.
Henri left wing. So I've gone for left wing, and Henri. He is the poster boy of the Premier League. I think whenever you think of the Premier League, I just think Henri's never far from your thoughts because he just lit it up. When you think about the entertainment factor, that's the player that you want to watch. And I generally think if you ask anybody, who would you want to watch when they were at their peak in the Premier League? Most people are going to probably say Henry because he just danced past players. Even in Champions League as well, he made world class players look average.
I think Highbury had a lot to do with why I like Henri because Highbury was a tight pitch. The cameras were in people's faces. And he was amazing. Just they're not. I don't know. You felt like he got a closer feel to how he was and how he played. And yeah, he disrespected too many players too often. Some of the goals, man, just outside the foot. I remember outside the foot one in the Champions League when he was on the right hand side. Can't remember who he was playing, but it's just
fantastic. And the
stuff.
The Man United one gets disrespected. You know, when he flicks it up and volleys it top corner. I'm like, how is that not talked a bit more? That goes. And especially it's not just the goal itself; it's the opposition he does it against.
Yeah.
Disrespected players. That's a joke. My right wing is Mo Salah.
Oh, Mo Salah.
I think because we're in a modern era and we haven't fully looked at Salah's career as a whole, and we're kind of just going through the motions with him. This guy's unbelievable. This guy is scoring 20 goals a season. He's assisting goals. He's scoring the most ridiculous goals, and he's genuinely. I do have issues sometimes with his selfishness and sometimes with his participation in the team. But the amount of goals this guy scored, you just can't. You just can't. And I just looked at that right wing and I couldn't see anybody else that I would put there. He was just the first player that stood out. He's the first player that I'd go with. And the one season where I think I don't know if he got the record, was it 34 goals, 35 goals, something like that?
Yeah, I think he did, yeah. Before Haaland took it, yeah.
Yeah, that's just mad. And I think in 4 or 5 years, Haaland, if he stays in the Premier League, will definitely be in this team. But my striker is Sergio Aguero.
Oh.
I don't get why people don't. I think a lot of the things is that when they look at a striker, you look at your Harry Kanes and you look at like Alan Shearer and players like that. And one of the things that went against Aguero is that he didn't talk English. He couldn't speak English that well. And so he never did any interviews, and he never got. So everyone was like, well, he's not really putting himself out there, so he's not the best. And so this guy's got goals to game ratio is unbelievable. He had everything. He was a menace, and he probably could have gone anywhere after that, after 2 or 3 seasons at Man City, and he stayed there for ages. He was just so loyal to a club that was just chucking money out everywhere. And I just don't think that should be disrespected. And I think it's a closer story between Aguero and Henry than people think, because this guy was just pure magic for so many years, scored so many goals. And he's one of them as well. I just think he seems like a nice guy. I have seen interviews with him when he's obviously speaking his native tongue and everything like that. And he just seems like a guy who loves football.
Yeah.
I think the other day he was sitting on a private plane, and Brazil fans were getting mad, and he was just quietly hiding, just videotaping them like this.
Yeah.
And I was fair play to you, lad, fair play to you. So yeah, that's my 11.
I like it.
Very different teams. So to finish off, we are going to look at our predictions for this week's, and I don't think I've done that one.
No. Well, okay, so out of the 3 of us, I came out on top with 6 results. I got the Luton Wolves draw. I got the Man City win. We all got the Man City win. I also got the Brighton win. I got the Villa win. I got the Liverpool win. And then I got the Newcastle win. Now, you actually went Newcastle to lose that game. You went for a home win. But yeah, so I think you and
that handball killed me.
You and Rossi pretty much got the same ones, but he got the Crystal Palace Fulham game right. That was a 0-0, and that surprised me actually, being a 0-0.
Yeah, I thought that. So many did I get?
You got 4. You and Rossi got 4. So in total, you and Rossi on 9, and I am on 11.
Jesus.
So far. Getting there.
I'll let you take an early lead, I suppose.
But for the next few games are going to be good, so I'm looking forward to Thursday when we can put some predictions on.
100%. Is that a podcast?
It is.
Feels like a podcast to me,
Feels
isn't
like
it?
a podcast.
Yes. So I just want to say a massive thank you, guys. As I say, just keep subscribing, keep looking out for our shorts, watching our videos, put some comments in, like you said, like Howard said earlier on. We want to see your best 11, want your views on the handballs, the games of the weekend. Give us some stuff to talk about. We are here. We are ready to tell you you're wrong. I mean, tell you you're wrong. What's the right answer? So yeah, we will be back in a few days because we're going to look at the fixtures for the weekend, and hopefully Rossi will be back then. But yeah, we look forward to seeing you guys, and we'll talk to you guys in the next few days. So it's a bye from me, Mr. Jones.
Take care, everyone.
See you guys.
See you later.